Hello everyone, this is Susan and today we're going to learn two ways to get the perfect proportion with grid method for digital and printed images. First is the grid on digital image on mobile. Step 1. Draw grid on drawing paper. You need a pencil and a ruler for this. I use 2B mechanical pencil as I need to have thin lines. Next, I will draw the grid by 1 square inch. It is about 2.5 centimeters, and to me it is really easy to get into the details within each square. It is big enough to outline the small details. Now I will connect the dots to get the vertical lines of the grid. Remember to draw light and thin strokes so that you can erase them easier later. Do the same for the other sides to get the horizontal lines done. Step 2. Drawing grid on image. I use an app called Drawing Grid. I put the name in the description box so you can check later. Just open the app and here you will find a flower symbol. Click on it to select photo. Then you select the photo that you want to grid. Then click on the grid icon in the bottom bar. To draw squares, you need to enable equal spacing. Below, you can see the X and Y adjustment bars. X is the number of squares in horizontal line and Y is the number of squares in vertical line. So for example, I draw a grid of 11 by 14 square earlier on my paper. Then in here, X would be 11 and Y would be 14. Then I tap on the screen to close the toolbar and reduce the size and drag the image to fit the grid. Then I double tap on the screen again to show up at the toolbar. I click on the 3 lines icon to adjust the thickness of the lines. The first one is to change the level of darkness. I don't want the lines to overlap the details, so I make them as light as possible. The second is to change the thickness. I prefer to have very thin lines in order to see clearly the details. Then I drag the image again to fit the grid. One thing I don't like about this app is that it doesn't allow you to save the image, so I had to take a screenshot to save the image. Step 3. Drawing outlines. Now I'm holding my phone in one hand and start to draw the outlines on paper. I will start from the right to the left as it is the way I feel like. If you're not used to this, then you probably need to number the squares for navigation. You can see that the eyebrow of the right eye is at box 11D, so I will start with that box. Let me show you in a close-up view how I draw the outlines. First, I mark the main points within the box, then I connect the points as in the reference photo. Because this photo is smaller than the actual drawing, so you need to be careful of the proportion within each box. One tip that I often use is dividing by the size of the square into 4 equal sections. By my eyes, I would consider whether the points belong to which sections. That helps you to get the points correctly. You don't need to get too much into details, but the more details you outline, the more chance your drawing is going to be realistic. I prefer to get like 80% of the details. That is a good start for me. The rest 20% I would add up as I go. Remember to draw very light outlines as you need to erase or blend them out later. There are some common mistakes that you need to avoid. You can see here I do too few and too many boxes. If you have too few boxes, then it's hard to get the correct measurements. However, if there are too many, then it takes you a lot of time to draw the grid, which is not necessary. Also, drawing in rectangles for the reference photo and squares for your grid on paper will lead to incorrect proportion. If you draw in rectangles, that is fine, but make sure you do the same for your paper grid. Now move to the second method, which is the grid on printed images. Step 1. Print images. The first one is used to draw the grid, and the second one is the high-resolution image, which you would use as a reference to get into the details. Because the other one has the grid on it, as you see here, so the details can be overlapped. Step 2. Drawing grid on paper. This step is the same as the previous one, but instead of 1 square inch, the squares are in the same size with the reference photo. Step 3. Drawing outlines. This is the same as I showed you before, but stay tuned because the last 2 steps are the bonus for you in order to get it perfect. Also, if you are interested in seeing how I make this outline become a realistic portrait, then subscribe to my channel and turn the bell icon because I'm going to upload more in-depth tutorials on my channel. Follow me on Instagram at Susantino Art for more artworks that I produced. You can find all of my up-to-date works also with some time-lapse tutorial. So continue with the fourth step, which I will draw outlines on tracing paper. This is the tracing paper that I'm going to use. I place it on my reference photo and draw the outline on it. If you don't have the tracing paper yet, then you might want to check out the link I put in the description box to get one. The reason I'm doing this is because this is the best way to get the exact same proportion of the photo. That leads us to the step 5, and this is the last step. Now I will move the tracing paper and place it on my drawing paper. Then I use a drafting tape to secure the paper so it will move around. Before correcting the mistakes, I erased the wrong outlines and redraw them according to the outlines on the tracing paper. Just go back and forth like this to check if they are matched. Then we're done. I hope you guys learned something today. If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up and comment down below any suggestions for my next video. Thank you for watching. See you next time.